Now, as somebody said, large cap, small cap, and all those, we understand what is the risk of each of these categories, right? So obviously, if I am choosing a large cap, the risk is lower when compared to a mid cap or a small cap funds, right? So I need to understand was what is the return I expect, and accordingly, I will choose whether I need this small cap or mid cap in my portfolio. Any questions here, Ramalingam sir? I see some answers coming here. Any questions here, Ramalingam sir?
Yeah, still it is past information. Our boundary is always history.
Yeah, correct. Past information, our boundaries is always history. I fully agree with that. But I don't have any other because I can't predict the future, right? Say, for example, just to give a simple example, since I have also been brought up in Chennai, why is that we always want our children to get admitted in the best school? Why don't we get our children admitted in a government school? Because the same thing, we'll see that was this school, so much students scoring 100 on 100, so many students passing, right? Now the question is, each of us have the capability to perform well, but we go by the general statistics, right? So the point here is, there is no other choice. We have to depend on past performance to understand whether this guy has done well in the past. So my basic assumption here is, since he has done well in the past, I assume he will continue to do well, which is a question mark. I fully agree, which is a question mark. But the point is, I don't have any other choice. I don't have any other choice. Yeah. So we have seen this, what do we call it as, measurable numbers, right? Now there are something which is non-measurable, right? So that is where your couple of other things comes into picture. Now, since these are not measurable, lot of what do you say, questions can come in this. That's where I thought I will avoid. But since one gentleman had asked this question, let me touch upon the qualitative factors also, right? First thing is, what is very, very important is, how much you trust that mutual fund. The first factor, how much you trust the mutual fund based on your past performance or past experience. You have to definitely decide that. So somewhere people will say that I'm comfortable with the top 10 mutual fund houses. So I start with my comfort level with the mutual fund, their brand name, their credibility, right? That could be based on any of those past events which has happened with that mutual fund house, right? It could be your own experience, right? For example, one fund house had a bad time in March 20. Right now, people may be afraid to go there. And it happens with other fund houses also, because these incidents will happen. So it is completely dependent on your experience. So I will not say, because only this fund house is bad and all other fund houses are good. Each of us will have some different experience with each of the fund houses. Let me be honest with you on that, right? So based on your experience, past experience, you may be comfortable with XYZ fund house. Point number one, qualitative aspect. Yeah. Second is very important, boss, are they sticking to their mandate? Very, very important to see this. For example, I am saying that at any point in time, I will not cross this allocation for a particular sector, right? Now, for example, let's say I have put a cap, but at any point in time, I will not cross this 10% allocation to any of the sector. Whatever it is doing well, I will not cross that 10%. Now, all of a sudden, you will find that because he is given a 15% exposure, which means what? This guy is not sticking to what he's saying. So then I'll be wary about this guy because he can change that. Because what will happen here is, I may be doing it in between for all the good reasons. That's fine. But the problem is, I might have come with the clarity that, boss, I don't want enough risk. When I joined this fund, I thought that they are restricting to each of the sectors 10%, so my risk is less. So I might have come with that. So very important to see whether they are sticking to their mandate or not. Very, very important, right? The third is, of course, when it comes to the fund manager, how much his calls are going right. how much his calls are going right? So that is very important. We will see it over a period of time, because 3 out of 10 calls going wrong is fairly acceptable. But if his call is going wrong every time, then obviously it will reflect in the poor performance. So my point here is, how do I understand this? This is where, again, I am trying to become slightly technical. We look at something called as Jensen's alpha, and even a trainer ratio is a good way to measure whether the return is because of the fund manager or because of luck, right? So Jensen's alpha is a better ratio to understand the fund manager's capability, right? And of course, the last factor is how long he has been staying with this fund house. See, for example, some of our fund managers or even our CIO is staying since the day, almost for what, last 20 years. Imagine a fund manager or a CIO staying with the fund house for 20, 21 years. It shows that he himself has confidence in it, right? In the fund house. Point number one. Somebody was also mentioning, that gentleman was also mentioning, what happens when the fund manager shifts. Very, very important, right? We have seen in the past when one fund manager moves, the entire fund collapses. At least we have a couple of fund houses to give as example in the earlier years, right? So very important to understand whether it is person driven or process driven. Very important to understand whether it is person driven or process driven, right? Now, why I was not trying to touch on all this is, as an investor, how do I get this information? That is a challenge, honestly. If you ask me, it is a challenge. How do I understand whether there is a process or not? Where from I will get this information? There is a amount of challenge. That's where all this will come over a period of time from your experience, right? For example, I have to see when this fund manager left, whether that fund got affected or not, some statistics, right? So all this takes efforts. That's where you need an advisor who can at least share all that experience and take it. So these are some of the qualitative factors which will come into selection. So basically, to put it simple, the trust with the fund house, starting from there. Then the second is, are they following their mandate? Third is there a process or it is person driven? Of course, I will also look at the portfolio, whether it is a concentrated portfolio, whether it is a diversified portfolio. Again, it depends on what is the investment objective. For example, if I'm investing in a sectoral fund, yes, there will be a concentration. I cannot avoid that. But if I'm investing in a large cap fund, the concentration should not be there. It should be more diversified, right? So I will see that. Say, for example, just to give some sample cases, we have seen in the past, we will call it as infrastructure fund, but it would have been more in banking stocks. Why? Because you can't say, because banks give loan to infrastructure project, that's why I'm happy. The question is, you try to play defensive. Right? So these are some of the things which we need to look at it, and it comes over a period of time, because these experiences you will get it over a period of time, right? So, and this will keep changing. After seeing all this also, all of a sudden you will get one bad experience. Then I need not immediately jump into it. Yeah. Okay. Then let's move into this category. I'm sure you are all aware of your large cap, your mid cap. Yeah. These are the hierarchy wise risk. So large cap has the least and sector has the highest risk. Now, another important factor is the debt funds. Debt funds also very important. When you are selecting a debt fund, always look at the rolling return. Yeah, important there also. But what is important is check this particular variable called as average maturity. I should match my time horizon with this average maturity. What do I mean by this? For example, I want to invest in a debt fund for 3 years, let's say. Then I will select a fund which has an average maturity of close to 3 years. I will not select a fund which has an average maturity of 7 years or an average maturity of 1 year. Why? Because if the duration is less, you are going to get a lesser rate. The duration is very high, then you have another risk, what is called as interest rate risk. In debt funds, you have this biggest risk is interest rate risk, right? Now, how do I understand that? This modified duration is very important. So I don't want this interest rate risk. I need to choose funds with a lower modified duration. So what do I mean by this? I want to invest in a debt fund for 3 years. Now, the first thing what I will do here is I will go and select the funds which have an average maturity of 3 years. Now, to understand the interest rate risk among all these 3-year funds, I'll go and check the modified duration. If I don't want this interest rate risk, I will choose the fund with the lowest modified duration among all these funds which have an average maturity of 3 years. Then what I will do, I'll go and check what is the expected return. That I can understand by looking at this variable called as yield to maturity or YTM. Every portfolio will have this, right? So here, what I will also understand is if the YTM is higher, which means there is more risk in the portfolio. Which means there is more risk in the portfolio, right? So I will try to avoid that. So I may not choose a fund with a higher YTM because there is risk in it. And then when somebody said for debt fund expense ratio is very important. For debt fund expense ratio is very important because the return itself is less. And on top of it, your expenses is more, then obviously your net return will come down. So for debt funds, expense ratio is very important. And for debt funds, never go by past return. Though I said in equity, you don't have a choice. In debt fund, never look at past return for the simple reason my interest rate scenario would have been different, because of which the performance would have come, and then you will get into a false selection. What do I mean by it? If somebody had seen the return of GSEC funds in 19 and 20, that fund would have given 14-15% return. Now, based on that 14-15% return in the last 1 year or 2 years, you decided to invest in a gilt fund. Now the gilt fund returns would be probably 1% or 2%. Why? Because today the interest rate scenario is different. That time interest rate fell, that's where these funds could make money, right? That is where never see the past performance of a debt fund, never go by that. You need to understand first how the interest rate is going to be in the next coming years. So for debt fund, understanding your interest rate is very important. That's where I said, look at this modified duration and YTM. I will stop here to show some Excel sheet, some data points here. Just give me a minute. Forget about the name. I've just taken it to explain you. Yeah. So this is what I was saying, right? Now the point here is, see the quality of portfolio. It is only 11% in AAA, right? Let's forget the names. This is only for analytical purpose. We are not trying to downplay any of these funds. Yeah. Just to give you an idea. That's all. We are using this data point only for our understanding, not for belittling any of these funds. This is not the topic of discussion here. Yeah. Now you can see here how much in AA and then the below category, right? Now, if you see here, the YTM is highest for this fund. Why? Because the paper quality is low. This is where I said, look at the YTM, you will get an understanding whether that fund is riskier or not. As the quality improves, you can see the return coming down. As the quality improves, see more in AAA, the return comes down. The return comes down. So very important to check these two aspects. The quality of paper, and that I can understand from my YTM itself. I can understand from the YTM itself. So these are very important factors while selecting a debt fund. Very, very important to understand this. Because many of us will go by only the return. Never do that. Never do that. Many of us will go by the return only. Never do that. Yeah. So that's where I was showing this particular thing. And I just wanted to show this also, which we spoke about earlier. Just give me a minute. We are talking about mean and standard deviation, right? So I just wanted to show you this also. From October 4, we have taken. See, if you are investing in a liquid fund, index fund, I've got a mean return of 6.93, that volatility which I was talking about, right? Which is measured by standard deviation. You can see here, very less. I'm investing in a gilt index. Yes, return is slightly more, but the volatility also goes up. If I'm investing in a Nifty 500, my return is more, volatility is also more. Mid cap 100, probably highest return, highest volatility. Nifty 50, return is higher, volatility is there. This is what I was saying. So you need to understand the volatility by looking at standard deviation. So higher the standard deviation, higher the volatility. Whether you want that or not, only you have to take a call. Yeah. So on the debt fund, we have seen it. Now let's go back to the PPT again. Yeah. So these are some of the criterion which I would like you to go through it when you are selecting a debt fund. And finally, this is the risk hierarchy. The least risk is overnight, then the liquid, ultra short term, low, and the highest risk is in credit risk fund. Yeah. So these are the schemes risk wise when it comes to the debt funds. Yeah. Hybrid, again, the same logic. So I'm not getting into hybrid separately. Whatever we have followed for equity and debt, we can apply that same criterion for even hybrid fund. So that's where I'm not taking hybrid as a separate category. Yeah. Now you can also understand what is the risk profile of that particular scheme by looking at this riskometer. Each of the funds are forced to publish this on their scheme application. Yeah, the riskometer. So this also gives you an idea how risky is the fund. They have made SEBI has made things easier for us. So this will give you an easy idea what is the risk this fund is taking. Yeah. Next is what is important is, just give me a minute. So what will happen is each of us will have an expected return to achieve our goals. Yeah, each of us will have a expected return. Now I'll ask a very simple question. What is the minimum return you want? When you are investing, what is the minimum return you will look at? Wherever you are investing, what is the minimum return you will expect? I have a minimum return, which is what we call it as risk-free return, right? So for example, the way I look at it is what is the minimum return I will expect is, because if I have not invested in this equity fund, I would have invested in a safe place. It could be a 10-year gilt, it could be a post office, it could be an FD. So that is the minimum return I wanted, right? So if I have not taken risk, I would have got this 6 or 7%. Whether it is more than inflation or not, we will see that, right? So that is where we are building a portfolio because we want something to beat inflation, right? But my logic here is, boss, if I have not invested in equity, I would have any case invested in any of these safe products, which could be a 10-year gilt or it could be a FD, it could be a post office. So that is what I call it as a risk-free return. Then I have my expected return, as all of you said. Somebody said 8 to 12, somebody said 12 to 15. These are all my expected returns. These are all my expected return. For me, I can give any number. For me, I can give any number. As some of you said 12 to 15, somebody said 8 to 12. But what is this expected return is nothing but the return you need to generate from your portfolio to achieve your goal. That is my expected return. It is not 12 or 14 or 15. It is all about how much return my portfolio should generate so that I achieve my goal. That is my expected return. That could be anything. Again, it depends on how much you save, what is the time horizon, what is the kind of risk. All that will depend on this. Expected return will depend on all these factors, right? Then the last part is what is the risk to be taken for achieving that same? As you rightly said, I would have got 6% risk-free return, but my portfolio needs 11% to achieve my goal, which means I cannot invest all my money in a safe place. I need to take risk. So that risk is nothing but the premium which we have to get. I am taking a risk. So obviously, if my return is more, I have to take a higher risk. For example, somebody says that I need 14% return to achieve my objective, then obviously what will happen is you have to take some exposure to probably mid-cap stocks or probably some sectoral funds, right? So your risk level of the portfolio will go up, or you should be able to invest more, or you should be able to invest more to reduce the risk. That is where I said to reduce the risk is in your control, but expecting return is not in our control, right? So that difference is what we call it as risk premium. That difference, yeah, the risk return, yeah, risk-free return and the expected return. So your expected return is nothing but risk-free return plus the risk premium, right? That's where somebody said, my this return plus 5% is what I'm looking at. That 5% is what is called as risk premium, right? So which means to have that risk premium was you have to take risk, right? So these are some of the basic things which you have covered. Now, the most crucial aspect is, boss, what is that I should do as an investor? I have understood what is risk, what is return, how to select an equity fund, right? All this is fine. Now you tell me, as an investor, what should I do here? Yeah. Now, as an investor, if you ask me what I should do here is, first is always be clear, define your goals. Always be clear, define your goals. Very, very important to define your goals. Yeah. Unless you define your goals, we will not be able to understand the expected return. That is where I said I have to make a beginning by defining my expected return. How can I calculate my expected return? Only by knowing what is the goal I have to achieve and what is the risk I need to take to achieve that goal. So that is where very important to identify your risk profile. Are you in a position to take that risk? Ability. Do you have that ability to take risk? That ability will determine your asset allocation. That ability will determine your asset allocation. If you don't, and of course the willingness also. If you don't have the ability, straight away ruled out, right? The answer is we saw no, correct? So the moment it is no, then I cannot give you a higher exposure to equity, which means, boss, you have to invest more. So that is what is following action. So your asset allocation is going to determine on your risk profile and of course the time horizon also. Yeah. And after that, I will decide how much in equity, how much in debt, how much in gold or international, all that, and build a portfolio. So this is how I build an investment portfolio. This is what I need to do with my advisor. I need to build an investment portfolio. Please remember it. See, that investment portfolio will have equity. Within equity, I will have different categories. We'll see that. And the last step, what I need to do is monitor these investments and rebalance it every year. So let us go through this individually now, right? So this is the process you should put in place as an investor. So at this point in time, as an investor, what you should do is put this process in place. Be clear about your goals, be clear about your risk profile, and sit with your advisor, finalize an asset allocation, right? And definitely choose those asset classes and build a portfolio. Always build a portfolio. It is not about investing in one or two schemes. It is all about your portfolio. That portfolio should help you to achieve your goals. Yeah. So always it is building a portfolio.